Today on 10 Minute IT Jams, we have Brett Wilson, who is the Director of Data Center and Business Continuity at Interactive. So this is our second IT Jam with Interactive, and in today's interview, we'll talk more about the company's business continuity initiatives. So welcome to the Jam, Brett.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So to start us off, could you just tell us a bit more or just anything about Interactive's business continuity solution or Interactive BC?
Sure, of course. Interactive, we've been providing business continuity solutions now for over 20 years. We've hosted 74 real-world disasters for customers in their times of greatest need. Prior to COVID, the majority of disaster invocations would have been related to either power or communication outages. But to be fair, amongst the 74 disasters that we have hosted over the years, we've seen almost everything from fire to flood, even cybersecurity attacks. As far as the pandemic was concerned, very few people would have seen that amongst their top 20 of addressable risks going into that year. But clearly that all very changed very much quickly in January of last year. During COVID, Interactive made some strategic adjustments to our services. We made some changes to allow customers to preemptively split their staff between both Interactive and their head office. In this scenario, Interactive became like a third office to our customers, with work from home being the second office. The third office concept proved really successful. It allowed customers to mitigate the risk for their especially critical business processes. And these are the business processes for which there's really clear timelines for their completion. And failure to do so can have ramifications and breaches opposite regulatory obligations. So it's been an interesting time for us, particularly the last 12 months.
Yeah, the last 12 months have been obviously quite tumultuous. So this year in 2021, what new trends are you seeing in the business continuity space?
Yeah, great question. Look, I think a major trend in business continuity going forward will be a much broader focus on operational resilience. So operational resilience at its simplest, it's just about businesses anticipating risks and preparing and planning to recover from. Broader than simply business continuity, operational risk also speaks to crisis management, to governance, and to vendor supplier assurance. I think operational risk also, it's about physical security and safety of a company's people and their premises. I could reasonably expect some significant updates from APRA this year in regard to their prudential standards. We'll be working with many of our banking and insurance customers, in particular banking, insurance and superannuation customers on these topics. So particularly as it relates to crisis preparedness, we've been getting increasing requests from our customers to run off-site crisis management exercises. So making use of our purpose-built facilities for these customers to use external agencies to run sometimes simple bad actor scenarios. These scenarios are specifically designed to stress test executives and their preparedness using scripted role plays. Common scenarios include bomb threats, but also right through to more complex scenarios around cybersecurity attacks and cryptocurrency ransoms. So I think with going into 2021, with pandemic remaining right at the top of risk registers across Australia, we can fully expect these people-based scenarios too to be thoroughly tested. I think opinions as it relates to COVID, they're still evolving, whereas some may have originally called it a black swan event. And I know that scenario is really about an unlikely event and very unexpected. I think now opinions are evolving. COVID can very much be seen as what was the elephant in the room. People knew it was there, but no one really wanted to address it. And for that reason, I've been hearing it referred to as sort of a black elephant type event currently. I don't think the regulators will allow this to happen again. All businesses, but particularly those holding client funds, will be required to identify their risks and put in place the appropriate levels of future planning to recover from them.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned the managed office a bit earlier.
Yeah.
So what are the drivers of managed office solution adoptions?
Flexibility. The main driver of managed office adoption is flexibility. During these times of great uncertainty, very few companies have landed firmly on their new ways of working. And for that reason, they're open to alternative ways of sourcing office space that can provide them with that flexibility while they work it out. Traditionally, real estate leases have been 5 to 10-year propositions. This really isn't very attractive compared with the 1 and 2 year options that are available with the more flexible managed office alternatives. Having said that, I think even prior to going into 2020, the market was already headed in that direction of everything as a service. We do buy all of our computing these days as a service, with the ability to scale up and scale down with our business needs, and there's no good reason that our office shouldn't be available in the same way. I think that fundamentally, the choice of a business premises is key to operational resilience. And as a provider who is ISO 27001 compliant, that's really just table stakes now to provide a premises to these type of businesses. Also, I like to think that the combination of data center and office recovery has been a really natural fit. The managed office customers really benefit from all the associated physical security that is inherent in a data center being on site and on premise. But also it has the added advantage, of course, of the IT hosting capabilities and power redundancy all the way to the desktop. So going forward, I think that many companies will look at their staff in 3 broad categories. There will be those staff that will be 4 or more days working in the office, and those staff will get their own desk, but 2 or 3 days in the office and you're likely hot desk. That means packing up your workstation at the end of the day, and you'll be provided a locker. And very popularly, there'll be a 3rd category of permanent work from home staff, and more companies will be embracing that. I can see that broadly across the top of those 3 categories, there's something of an overlay, and this is what we're referring to as third offices. And in many cases, these third offices will be managed offices, managed or service offices like Interactive. Your company office in the city, that will of course remain a primary office and location, secondary position being a work from home capability towards 50% of staff working from home. And the third offices, suburban offices like Interactive. Offices where staff can congregate for collaboration, training, and for vendor meetings without having to travel all the way to a city.
Yeah. And Interactive says that managed office is particularly suited for regulated industries. What is it about managed office solutions that make it good for regulated industries?
Our credentials as a managed office, particularly to the regulated industries, has been supported by our 20 years of providing these office recovery services to the financial services industry. Our facilities, they're high availability, both in regard to power and network redundancy. As it relates to power, the facilities are supported by generator and UPS, so an uninterruptible power supply of batteries all the way to the desktop. As it relates to network, we're fed by multiple exchanges with diverse parts into the facilities, all the redundancy you expect of a commercial enterprise data center, with the added benefit of being on network for many network service providers. Beyond this redundancy, Interactive are also certified in ISO 9001 for quality and ISO 27001 for information security. These are two key international standards required by the businesses operating in our financial services sector. At our core, Interactive, we're an IT company, and despite all the certifications and the infrastructure, our purpose is to keep technology human. We were actually successful in 2020, winning the Best Place to Work award as a result of research conducted by the Great Place to Work Institute. Very proud of that achievement. We put a lot of work and a lot of value into looking after our staff, and our staff who in turn look after our customers.
Perfect, cool. Well, that concludes today's 10-minute IT Jam with Interactive Director of Data Center and Business Continuity, Brett Wilson. Thanks so much for joining me today, Brett.
Thanks, Nick. And if anyone would require any extra information, happy to reach out to our website, and we have a contact form for information. You can leave your details, and love to be in touch.